There comes a moment, not loud or fanfared, not marked by applause or announcement, but still as the hush before dawn, where you awaken not from sleep, but from illusion. A flicker of truth pierces through the fabric of the ordinary, and suddenly, what once seemed solid begins to melt in the light of awareness. You realize in one trembling breath that the world you've been living in has been not outside of you, but shaped within you. That reality is not waiting to be believed, it is waiting to be born through belief. We've been taught since we were children to trust only what our senses can verify, to see before we believe, to demand proof before faith, evidence before trust. But the soul knows another law, older than time and truer than any book. Belief is not the result of seeing, it is the cause. The outer world is not the sculptor of your fate. Your inner world is the brush painting the sky you walk beneath. This is not wishful thinking, not fantasy cloaked in mysticism. This is the eternal law spoken by sages and mystics, by Jesus when he said, "According to your faith it is done unto you," by the Tao that whispers, "The way is not in the sky, but in the heart." It is the unseen power that bends the physical world into the shape of your thoughts. You are not here to react to what you see. You are here to project what you believe. And in that projection, the world mirrors your innermost truth. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the author of it. You are not an effect tossed like driftwood upon the tide of life. You are the cause. Life is not happening to you. It is happening through you, because of you, and as you. You do not get what you deserve or what you beg for. You get what you believe. What you claim, what you feel, what you become inwardly certain of. Faith is not blind. It is deeply visionary. It sees what is possible before the eyes do. It builds the bridge across the canyon of fear and says, walk. And so I ask you now, not with urgency, but with sacred invitation, what do you believe about yourself? Do you believe you are worthy, that you are guided, that the universe or God or source is for you and not against you? Because until your belief aligns with your divine nature, you will continue to create from separation, from fear, from lack, and those creations, no matter how impressive, will never satisfy the soul. There is a deeper truth waiting to be claimed. A truth that says you are not the name you were given, nor the body you inhabit, nor the stories etched across your memory. You are a field of infinite possibility, a soul wrapped in stardust, a divine consciousness dreaming itself into form. And the moment you believe that, not intellectually, but wholeheartedly, you will begin to see evidence of it everywhere. Flowers will bloom in your presence. Doors will open not because you knocked, but because you arrived in alignment. People will be drawn to you not for what you do, but for who you are. Your very being will become a lighthouse, and you won't have to convince anyone of your light. It will simply shine. The universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to certainty, to stillness, to the quiet knowing that says, I am already it. And the path to that knowing is not one of effort, but of surrender. You cannot force your way into alignment. You must remember your way there. You must return not forward to the place within you that never left the garden, the place that always knew, even in the darkest night, that you are held. You see, it was never about creating a life. It was about awakening to the life that's been waiting for your permission to unfold. Not the life of striving, but the life of flow. Not the life of performance, but the life of presence. Not the life of proving, but the life of radiating. And that shift from seeking to seeing, from effort to allowing, begins when you choose to believe differently. When you believe that love is not earned, but intrinsic. That peace is not found, but remembered. That purpose is not chased, but lived from within. When you stop saying, I'll believe it when I see it, and start saying, I'll see it when I believe it, you step into the role of creator. Not the creator of others, but the creator of experience. You stop trying to predict the future and begin to shape it. Not with control, but with consciousness. Let your thoughts become prayers, not pleas, but declarations. Let them not ask for what is lacking, but give thanks for what is already here in the field of the unseen. Let your beliefs be rooted not in evidence, but in essence. And let your actions be born from a place of inner knowing, not outer pressure. This is not magic. This is not denial of reality. This is the highest alignment with reality, because reality, at its core, is consciousness. And consciousness moves where attention flows. Place your attention on fear, and you will see reasons to be afraid. Place it on beauty, and the world will become luminous. It's not about ignoring the facts. It's about knowing that facts are temporary. Truth is eternal. And the truth is, you are already whole. You are already guided. You are already enough. You don't need more information, you need more revelation. You don't need more hustle, you need more trust. You don't need to fix yourself, you need to see yourself through the eyes of the divine, who has never seen you as broken, only as learning. Even your challenges, your failures, your regrets, they are not evidence of your limitation. They are the perfect curriculum for your awakening. You are not being punished, you are being shaped. Not by cruelty, but by a loving intelligence that knows what your soul came here to remember. And what is that memory? That you are not separate, not from source, not from each other, not from the miracles you crave. You are not on the outside of life, knocking to be let in. You are life itself. You are the wave in the ocean, the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought. And when you believe that, truly believe that the world must mirror it back, you begin to attract not what you want, but what you are. People who see you as you've begun to see yourself. Opportunities that feel like recognition, not conquest. Moments of grace that arrive without explanation, because grace does not need explanation, it only needs space. So open that space now, not by doing more, but by doing less of what takes you away from your center. Say no to what drains you, say yes to what brings you alive. Align your external choices with your internal truth, and watch how quickly the world rearranges itself. Because the world is not fixed, it is fluid. It bends to belief. It dances to the rhythm of your expectation. It is not the enemy, it is the mirror. And if what you see troubles you, do not try to change the mirror, change the image you are projecting into it. Believe in peace, and you will see evidence of peace. Believe in love, and you will magnetize love. Believe in your divinity, and life will echo back your holiness in 1,000 ways. There is no waiting room in the universe. There is only this moment, pregnant with possibility, pulsing with power, waiting not for permission, but for participation. So step into it not as a beggar, but as a beloved, not as a servant of fate, but as a co-creator with the divine. You have been entrusted with the sacred, not just the ability to survive, but the shape, to bless, to shine. And the light you shine need not be loud. It need not be understood. It need only be true, because truth is contagious, alignment is magnetic, and the world is starving for authenticity. Be that. Be the one who remembers. Be the one who walks in faith, not faith in dogma, but faith in the living intelligence that moves through you, that breathes you, that knows your name even when you've forgotten it. And as you walk, not ahead of others, not above them, but beside them in light and humility and presence, you become a portal, a living reminder of what is possible when belief aligns with soul. You'll see it, beloved, when you believe it. Not a moment before, and not a moment too late. Now is the time, and you are ready. There is a stillness you have yet to fully trust, a silence that doesn't empty you but fills you in ways noise never could. In that stillness, you do not lose yourself. You remember the self beneath all the selves, the self that existed before the world told you who to be. And in that sacred remembering, you begin to awaken to a truth so gentle it never demanded your attention, and so powerful it transforms everything once it is seen. That truth is this: reality is not something you enter into, it is something you give birth to from within. The world is not a stage upon which you perform for love. It is a canvas awaiting the colors of your consciousness. You are not here to earn worth, to compete for light, or to mimic what has already been done. You are here to embody what has never been seen before, your authentic vibration, your sacred frequency, your unmistakable signature of the divine. It is not comparison that leads to greatness, it is congruence. When your breath, your thoughts, and your actions move in unison with the whisper of your soul, you become undeniable, not to the world, but to yourself. And what a miracle that is, to be so in tune with your essence that you no longer seek validation, because being alive in alignment is its own reward. The applause fades, the achievements age. But the peace that arises from truth that remains, that echoes into the fabric of eternity long after this body is turned to dust. So let go now of trying to be impressive. Let go of needing to be more. Instead, be whole. Be here. Be still enough to feel the hum of the infinite vibrating at the center of your being. Do you feel it? That quiet pulse beneath the skin, that warmth behind the ribs, it is the language of God, of Source, of the universe, reminding you that you are never alone, that you have never been without direction. The compass has always been within. It does not shout, it does not argue, it simply points. And when you surrender to its guidance, not because you've figured everything out, but because you've stopped pretending you need to, you step into a life that no longer exhausts you with effort, but energizes you with grace. This is the reversal the soul has always longed for, not from failure to success or from pain to pleasure, but from illusion to truth, from mistaking yourself as the wave to knowing yourself as the ocean, from measuring your worth in deeds to sensing your worth in being. And once you touch this knowing, truly touch it, there is no going back. You may forget for a time. The world may try to lull you again with its noise and glitter. But a part of you remains forever awakened, forever changed, like a bell that has been rung and can never again be silent. So let yourself ring. Let your truth vibrate unapologetically through the air of this life. Let your footsteps leave an invisible trail of love behind you, not because you tried, but because you couldn't help it. Because when you become yourself, not the conditioned self, not the cautious self, but the infinite self, the world receives an offering it didn't even know it needed. And the beautiful paradox is that this offering does not require sacrifice. It requires surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that gives in to life, gives in to love, gives in to the sacred rhythm that has always known the way. Let your mind rest. Let your body soften. Let your heart return to its original rhythm, the rhythm that existed before fear, before expectation, before identity. This is not regression. It is resurrection. The rising of the eternal within the temporary, the revealing of the light within the clay, and that light, once remembered, no longer needs to convince the dark of anything. It simply shines, and in that shining, it liberates. So shine now, not for anyone to see, but because it is your nature to shine. Like the sun that rises, not for applause, but because it is its purpose. Like the flower that blooms not for admiration, but because it is its essence. Do not wait for permission. Do not delay your blooming. The world may not understand your unfolding, but that is not your concern. Your only task is to open, to believe so deeply in your light that it becomes impossible not to see it. You'll see it when you believe it. And when you believe it, the whole world changes because you have. And when the world begins to shift around you, as it surely will, you will recognize the change not as something you caused, but as something that responded. For energy responds not to force, but to coherence. The clearer you become within, the clearer the reflections without. Life does not need your control. It yearns for your alignment. And alignment is not something you strive for. It is something you surrender into when you stop trying to be what you are not. Every time you release the need to be understood, to be defended, to be chosen by those who cannot even choose themselves, you step deeper into your true inheritance. Not the inheritance of this world measured in gold or legacy, but the inheritance of presence measured in peace, in breath, in the weightlessness that comes from not needing to become anything other than this moment. And here's the sacred irony. As you stop chasing, life begins to offer. As you stop proving, the universe begins to affirm. Not because you have performed, but because you have returned to the center, to the silence, to the steady flame that burns beneath all narratives. That flame is your essence. Untouched by praise, undimmed by rejection, it does not flicker in the wind of opinion, it simply is. To walk in that flame, to live from that center, is to become unshakable, not unfeeling, not unreachable, but grounded in something so deep it cannot be disturbed. You begin to trust the pauses. You begin to welcome the unknown. You begin to see that the mystery is not your enemy, it is your teacher. And it has been speaking to you all along, not in shouts, but in the quiet turning of seasons, in the still gaze of a child, in the unexpected softness that visits you when you stop resisting your own tenderness. You will notice a shift when your belief deepens, not louder thoughts, but fewer. Not bigger plans, but simpler truths. Not more doing, but richer being. And in that space, everything opens. The future no longer threatens you because you no longer live in waiting. You live now. And now becomes not a stepping stone to something greater, but the sanctuary where all greatness already lives. There is nothing small about your presence when it is rooted in truth. Even in silence, even in solitude, you radiate. You may not see it, but others feel it, the calm in your tone, the steadiness in your gaze, the absence of grasping in your spirit. You no longer pull at life, you invite it. You no longer try to impress love into staying. You become the place where love naturally lands. This is the art of allowing, not passive, but powerful. Not idle, but alive. The oak tree does not force itself into growth. It allows. The river does not debate its direction, it flows. The stars do not question their right to shine, they simply shine. And so must you, not because of a script or strategy, but because your belief has deepened into knowing. And from knowing, everything flows. You'll see it when you believe it, not because belief manufactures reality, but because it unveils it. The kingdom of peace, of joy, of divine fulfillment, it has never been far. It has only been veiled by fear, by unworthiness, by the hardened walls of survival. But survival is not your home. Thriving is. Breathing deeply is. Trusting fully is. You were not made to brace through life. You were made to dance through it, to sing in it, to become a living embodiment of what is possible when the soul is no longer silenced. Let this be the moment when you no longer defer your joy, no longer delay your light, no longer outsource your power. The belief you are waiting for it is already inside you, waiting for you to say yes. Yes to your own presence, yes to your own peace, yes to the sacred permission to live not cautiously, not conditionally, but completely. For this is your birthright, and no one can give it to you. You must claim it not with pride, but with reverence, not with certainty of outcome, but with certainty of being. And when you do, the world, like a mirror touched by light, will begin to reflect your radiance back to you. And you will see, because now, beloved, you believe. There are memories you carry like stones in your chest, heavy, not because they still exist, but because you still hold them. Echoes of moments long gone, wrapped in pain and shame and stories repeated so often they've begun to feel like truth. And though the days have passed and the faces have changed, the energy remains, not because life will not let go, but because you have not yet released your grip. The past, in its illusion, masquerades as a chain. But it is not the past that binds you. It is your allegiance to its interpretation. You are not wounded by what happened. You are wounded by the belief that what happened has the power to define you. But you, dear soul, are not a sum of brokenness. You are the sky that watched it all. You are the vastness that held the tears, the anger, the loss, and survived them all. And perhaps surviving was never the goal. Perhaps the soul did not come here to endure, but to transcend. Not to escape the wound, but to heal through it. Because healing is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of truth. The truth that nothing done to you can diminish the divine essence within you. The truth that forgiveness is not for the offender, it is the key that unlocks your own prison. And the truth that freedom is not earned through time, but chosen through willingness. So I ask you gently, what are you still carrying that was never yours to bear? What voices still whisper that you are not enough, even though they were never yours to begin with? Whose pain have you adopted as your identity? Whose judgment became your mirror? The soul aches not from what has happened, but from the forgetting of what you are. It yearns for return, not to the past, but to the purity that existed before the past took hold. It longs not for revenge, but for release. Not for justice, but for peace. And you will know you are ready to be free when peace becomes more precious to you than being right. The path of liberation is not paved with answers. It is walked in surrender. The willingness to say, I no longer need this story to be true in order to love myself. That is the moment the chains begin to fall. That is the breath when the past loses its grip and the present begins to bloom. And in that bloom there is softness, a gentleness toward yourself that you withheld for far too long. You are not what was done to you. You are what remains untouched by it. You are not the hurt. You are the healer within the hurt, waiting to be invoked. And when you stop defending the pain, when you stop repeating the script, the soul finally exhales. It says, thank you for remembering me. And that exhale, oh, how holy it is. It does not need to be loud. It does not need to be noticed. It only needs to be felt. And once it is felt, your inner sky clears. Clouds may return, doubts may arise, but you will have touched something permanent, a presence that remains no matter the weather. You will know what it is to be whole, not because the world declared it so, but because you remembered that wholeness was never lost, only hidden. So let yourself grieve, not to stay in sorrow, but to clear the soil. Let the tears come not as weakness, but as sacred rain, washing away the hardened layers. Let yourself feel not to suffer again, but to meet your heart where you abandoned it. There is no healing without feeling. There is no freedom without truth. And the deepest truth is this: you are not your trauma. You are the one who witnessed it. You are not the victim. You are the presence that cannot be victimized. And the more you remember this, the less the past can hold you. It becomes a chapter important, yes, but no longer the whole story. Your story, beloved, is not one of endless survival. It is one of return. Return to softness, return to joy, return to the place inside you where light has always lived. This is the liberation your soul has waited lifetimes for. This is the freedom that can never be taken, only claimed. And now, as the weight begins to lift and the veil thins between who you thought you were and who you have always been, something ancient stirs within you, not loud, not sudden, but steady, like dawn cresting over mountains long asleep. It is not a new power awakening in you. It is the recognition of the power that never slept. The soul does not wake up because of circumstance. It wakes up when the illusion of separation dissolves and you remember that you have always been one with the light. This is the crescendo the Spirit has always whispered toward, not in chaos, but in clarity, not in frenzy, but in stillness. The moment when truth ceases to be something you seek and becomes the ground you walk on, you realize you do not have to earn worth. You do not have to beg for belonging. You do not have to hustle for love. You were formed from it, knit together by an intelligence so divine that even your flaws are sacred. And now you feel it that surge not of ambition, but of alignment, arising within your being like a tide reclaiming the shore. You are no longer moving from force, you are moving from source. No longer driven by fear of being nothing, but called by the certainty that you are everything. Not everything as the world defines it, but everything as the soul reveals it, timeless, formless, full of light. And in this remembering, the world no longer threatens you, it invites you. Every face becomes a reflection, every moment a temple. Even pain transforms not into pleasure, but into purpose. You see now that nothing was wasted, that every loss stripped away what you were not, that every heartbreak cracked open the shell so your radiance could seep through. You begin to bless what once broke you, not because it was holy, but because it brought you back to what is. There is a clarity that comes when you no longer fear being seen, when you no longer edit your light to fit into shadows, when you stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. You are not fragile. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are the unfolding of something sacred. You are the answer to a prayer the universe has long been praying. And when you walk in this, knowing not arrogantly but authentically, you shift the air around you. You do not have to preach. You do not have to persuade. Your presence becomes the sermon. Your peace becomes the proof. Your joy, unmanufactured and untamed, becomes the revelation. This is the moment, beloved, this is the rising, when the quiet fire in your soul turns to flame, not to consume, but to illuminate, not to destroy, but to reveal. The flame of truth, of love, of remembering. And in that flame, the ego melts, the masks fall, and what remains is the essence of God, of spirit, of infinite intelligence, living and breathing as you. No more shrinking, no more doubting, no more waiting for the world to catch up to your truth. You are here, you are radiant, you are whole, and you are finally free. So now, as you stand here within yourself, not above, not below, but perfectly centered in the stillness of your being, you understand that there is nothing left to become, nothing left to chase, nothing to prove or fix or find. The long journey outward has brought you full circle back to the place you never truly left, back to the quiet sanctuary within where truth has always waited like a flame undisturbed by wind. You are not the search. You are the source. You are not the seeker lost in longing. You are the knower who paused long enough to remember, and what you've remembered is more than words. It's a knowing too deep to be spoken, too true to be explained. It is felt in the still breath, in the soft gaze, in the peace that rises uninvited when you stop resisting what is. And this peace, this gentle, sacred presence, it is not fleeting. It is not earned. It is the ground beneath all striving. It does not remove the storms, but it carries you through them untouched. It does not erase the past, but it transforms its meaning into something beautiful, something that opened you rather than hardened you. You are the opening now, not the wound, not the shell, not the mask. You are the open vessel through which love flows into a world starved for authenticity. You are the reminder that miracles are not distant, they are reflections of your own alignment. That divinity is not a destination, it is your identity unveiled through presence. So walk on now, not as someone chasing light, but as the light itself. Let your steps be silent prayers. Let your words be offerings. Let your life, not the achievements, but the presence you carry, be the invitation for others to come home to themselves. You no longer need to explain your path. You no longer need to defend your joy. You no longer need to fear being misunderstood. For the soul does not need understanding. It only needs freedom. And you, beloved, are free. You are free to love without condition, free to forgive without forgetting your worth, free to stand without armor, speak without pretense, and give without depletion. Free to live as though heaven is not above or beyond, but here in this breath, in this gaze, in this moment now, because it is, and so are you. You have remembered what the world taught you, to forget that everything you longed for was never missing, only unseen. That you'll see it when you believe it, not because belief conjures fantasy, but because it clears the fog from the eyes of the soul. And now your soul sees clearly. It sees that the journey was never to find yourself, but to shed all that you are not. It sees that the healing was never about becoming whole, but remembering that you always were. It sees that the love you crave was not in another's hands, but resting quietly in your own. And with that seeing, the sacred exhale returns, the breath of surrender, the breath of truth. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are here, and here is enough. So rest now, not as escape, but as embodiment. Let life move through you, not around you. Let joy be your compass and stillness your home. Let your everyday become the ceremony. Let your being be the blessing. For you have seen, and now you believe. And now you are free. There comes a moment, not in the calendar of time, but in the eternity of awareness, when the soul stirs beneath the surface of habitual thought and asks a simple, sacred question. What if I am not these thoughts I think? What if the life I'm living is not determined by the world, but by the lens through which I see it? In that moment, the veil lifts. And you begin to realize that every experience, every fear, every longing has been filtered not through truth, but through thought. And thought, my dear friend, is not a reflection of reality. It is a creation of it. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. The witness, the awareness, the still presence that has remained unchanged while your thoughts have changed 1,000 times. When you begin to see this, not just with your mind, but with your soul, you step into the sacred power that has always been yours, the power to choose again, to choose differently, to think from love instead of fear, to perceive from wholeness instead of lack, to align your inner state with the eternal truth rather than the temporary noise of the world. Because you see, thought is not just something that happens, it is something that forms. It shapes your perception, which in turn gives birth to your experience. The thought, I am not enough, does not remain a quiet sentence inside your mind. It echoes into your emotions, colors your relationships, affects the way you walk into a room, the way you speak your name, the way you hold or withhold your love. And so when you change your thoughts, you don't just change your mood, you change your life. But let us be clear, this is not about forcing new affirmations over old wounds. This is not about covering pain with positivity. This is about seeing that the original wound was not inflicted by the world, it was inflicted by a thought you believed to be true. And what is belief if not thought, repeated, enshrined, rehearsed until it becomes invisible? This is the beginning of liberation, when you stop trying to rearrange the outer world and begin to rearrange the inner lens through which you view it. As the Tao Te Ching reminds us, if you correct your mind, the rest of your life will fall into place. But how do you correct your mind? Not by war, not by force, but by presence, by attention, by stillness. You do not need to argue with your old thoughts. You need only to observe them without identification, and in the light of your awareness, they begin to dissolve, like shadows in the Sunday. You are not here to control your life. You are here to align with its deeper rhythm. And that rhythm is not chaotic. It is intelligent. It is divine. It is the same force that orchestrates galaxies and blooms flowers without needing your effort. Your only real task is to tune your mind to the frequency of this intelligence, to stop thinking from fear and start listening from love, to stop building your future from the ruins of your past and instead begin to create from the wholeness of the now. When you change your thoughts, you change your vibrational field. You shift your frequency, and everything that is meant for you, peace, love, abundance, exists at a different vibration than fear, guilt, and scarcity. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is shaped moment to moment by the thoughts you host. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a powerful creator, not through effort, but through alignment. The thoughts you think are not random. They are habitual, conditioned. They are the echoes of a collective story, a family story, a personal story. But none of these stories are the truth of your being. They are interpretations, temporary garments. And the moment you begin to see this, you are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are free. Free to think new thoughts, free to release the narratives that no longer serve you, free to say, that story ends here. And in doing so, you do not just liberate yourself, you liberate everyone who came before you and everyone who will come after. Because when one soul remembers its power to choose, to see, to think with the eyes of love, that remembrance ripples through the fabric of humanity like a silent blessing. There is no thought more powerful than, I am already whole. There is no perception more healing than nothing is missing. And there is no belief more transformative than, love is who I am. When you begin to live from this, knowing not as a concept but as a felt experience, your outer world begins to shift to reflect the truth within. You stop searching for love because you become it. You stop chasing success because you realize that fulfillment is not a destination, it is a frequency you carry into everything you do. You stop fighting with life and you begin to dance with it, flow with it, trust it. And that trust is born from a deeper realization that your thoughts are not rulers, they are servants, they are tools. And when you no longer believe everything you think, a space opens up, a quiet, sacred space where wisdom can enter. This space is the doorway to your highest self. And your highest self does not speak in fear, it does not shame, it does not rush, it does not demand perfection, it whispers, it gently guides. It reminds you that the universe is not outside of you, it is within. And it responds not to the noise of your mind, but to the clarity of your being. So if you want to change your life, begin not with the world, begin with your thoughts. Question them, greet them with love, but no longer bow to them. Invite in new ones, thoughts that align with truth, with presence, with divinity, and then live them, not by force, but by being. Let your life be a reflection of the love you choose to think. Let your relationships be mirrors of the peace you choose to see. Let your days unfold not from habit, but from awareness. You are not here to think like everyone else. You are here to remember a deeper way, a way that honors the stillness between words, a way that listens more than it speaks, a way that trusts that when your thoughts align with truth, the entire universe conspires to support you. You are not your thoughts, but your thoughts are the brushstrokes on the canvas of your life. And today, you hold the brush. To change your thoughts is to reclaim authorship of your life, not as a frantic scribbler trying to rewrite the past, but as a conscious scribe, aware that each moment is a blank page, each choice a fresh stanza, and each intention a sacred pen stroke guided by the hand of the infinite. But to write with the hand of the infinite, you must quiet the trembling of fear. You must soften the grip of expectation. You must lay down the armor you forged in the fires of doubt and trust that what emerges from stillness is wiser than what arises from struggle. The ego will resist this, of course. It will insist that thinking harder, pushing more, controlling tighter is the path to safety. But safety is not the same as freedom. And the soul was never born for safety. It was born to remember itself as boundless, eternal, free. Your thoughts are like winds. And if you live unconsciously, you are a leaf at the mercy of every gust. But when you awaken, you become the sky itself, vast, steady, unshaken by the changing air. You begin to notice not just what you think, but who is doing the thinking. And in that noticing, a space opens not a void, but a sanctuary, a place where silence speaks louder than anxiety, where intuition whispers more clearly than logic, where the heart, unburdened by the mind's noise, can rise and lead. This is the holy reversal the mystics speak of when you stop asking, how do I control my thoughts, and begin to wonder who is the one aware of them. That awareness is not a product of thought. It is the field in which thought appears. And that field is you, not the you they named, not the identity you were taught to polish, but the deeper you, the watcher, the witness, the timeless flame that has never dimmed, only forgotten its brilliance beneath layers of borrowed beliefs. And it is here in this sacred awareness that new thoughts are born not from programming, but from presence, not from reaction, but from revelation. Thoughts like, I am not broken. I am becoming. Thoughts like, the moment is not my enemy, it is my teacher. Thoughts like, the universe is not outside me, it breathes through me. These thoughts are not merely words, they are frequencies, each one a tuning fork calling you back to resonance with the divine. And the more you dwell in this resonance, the less you need to fix your life, because you begin to see that nothing was ever truly broken, only misperceived, only misunderstood through the lens of fear. What is anxiety but faith misdirected? Faith that things will go wrong. What is guilt but love twisted into self-punishment? What is shame but the forgetting of your inherent worth? When you change the thought, you change the lens. And when you change the lens, the entire landscape of your life is transfigured. Not because the mountains have moved, but because you now see them as invitations to rise rather than obstacles to endure. This is the quiet miracle of inner alchemy. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It happens in the invisible chambers of the heart, where one thought is replaced with another, a thought of love, a thought of unity, a thought born not from the mind but from the soul. And as this new thought settles in, it begins to shape a new reality. People speak to you differently, not because they've changed, but because you no longer expect attack. Circumstances feel lighter, not because they are easier, but because you meet them without resistance. Time no longer feels like an enemy, but like a flowing river you finally stop swimming against. You begin to see your life not as a series of problems to solve, but as a canvas to express the divine through. Each moment becomes a brush dipped in eternity, painting beauty from the inside out. And slowly or suddenly you realize that you are not here to accumulate experiences, you are here to wake up through them. To see that the goal was never to get somewhere, but to see more clearly where you already are. In the light of this realization, even your old wounds soften. You stop cursing your past and start blessing it, not because pain is good, but because pain cracked open the shell that kept your light hidden. And now, through the fissures, you shine. This is what it means to change your thoughts. To shift from resistance to reverence, from judgment to curiosity, from separation to sacredness. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? But what is this moment showing me about what I've believed? And then, with gentleness, always with gentleness, you allow the belief to be questioned, to be touched by the light of truth, to be seen not as who you are, but as what you once needed to survive. Because every limiting thought was once a protection. Every fearful belief was a shelter. And now you are ready to leave the shelter. You are ready to step out from behind the old walls and feel the wind of truth on your skin. You are ready not to become someone new, but to think as the one you've always been. And who you are is peace. Peace is not a distant summit you must strive to reach. It is the ground you already stand upon, if only you would look down and notice it. It is not in the next chapter, the next job, the next partner, the next version of yourself. It is in this breath, this heartbeat, this now. And thought is the gatekeeper of peace. Each thought either opens the door to it or bars the way. The thought that says, I am behind, that is a closed gate. But the thought that whispers, I am right where I need to be, that is the gate swinging open to stillness. The thought that declares, I must earn love, binds the soul in chains. But the thought that gently affirms, I am love, that breaks every chain. You see, thought is not neutral. It is creative. It is magnetic. Every thought vibrates at a certain frequency, and your life arranges itself around the frequency you most consistently dwell in. Not what you hope for, not what you say aloud, but what you truly, quietly believe. And here's the miracle hidden in plain sight. You can choose again, right now. You can breathe differently. You can see differently. You can think differently. You can exchange the thought of separation for the truth of oneness. You can lay down the belief of not enough and pick up the knowing that you are the very essence of enough. You can turn every fearful story into a doorway for light to enter, but only if you are willing to see, to truly see, not with the eyes of judgment, not with the reflex of reaction, but with the gaze of stillness, with the open eyes of the soul. This is not the work of striving, it is the art of surrender. Because truth is not something you achieve, it is something you uncover. It is what remains when the noise quiets, when the mind bows in humility, when the ego steps aside and the eternal enters. And in that entrance, the thoughts begin to shift on their own, like leaves gently blown by the breath of spirit. You don't have to control them, you only have to stop identifying with them. Because you are not the thoughts that say, I'll never heal. You are the awareness that has already outlived that pain. You are not the voice that says it's too late. You are the eternal being to whom time is merely a costume. You are not the belief that insists, I am broken. You are the wholeness beneath it, patiently waiting to be remembered. And what you remember, you re-become, not as a performance, not as a projection, but as presence, quiet, grounded, divine. This is the secret the sages spoke of, that nothing outside you needs to change for you to be free. Only your relationship to thought, only your loyalty to fear, only your attachment to the illusions you were handed before you knew how to question them. And when you begin to loosen your grip on those illusions, when you begin to release the death grip on being right, being wounded, being incomplete, something sacred happens. You begin to float, not in detachment but in trust, not above life but deeply within it, as if every blade of grass is now whispering to you, welcome home. This floating is the return of innocence, the return of original vision, the return of a mind unclouded by survival and a heart unclenched by pain. You begin to think not for protection but for creation, not to defend but to extend, not to prove but to bless. And in this blessing, your thoughts become prayers, your words become healing, your presence becomes a temple. Because when your thoughts align with truth, you no longer carry your light, you become it. You are no longer a seeker wandering the forest of desire. You are the forest itself, rooted, alive, complete. You no longer ask, what must I do to be worthy? You ask, what can I think today that will remind me I always have been? And in that question, the journey begins again, not as a race, but as a remembering. Not as a struggle, but as a song. Not as a battle to win, but as a path to walk with bare feet, open eyes, and a mind made still by grace. There is a weight we carry that no one sees. It is not in our hands, but in our thoughts. Not on our backs, but behind our eyes, in the folds of memory, in the echoes of moments we couldn't change. It is the past. Not the past itself, but the thoughts we've wrapped around it, the conclusions we drew, the meanings we assigned, the invisible contracts we made with pain, believing we had to earn our release through guilt, through sorrow, through shame. But the soul does not live in the past. It touches it only to retrieve the light that was left behind in the shadows. It visits not to relive, but to reclaim, not to suffer again, but to gather every broken piece and whisper, even this is holy. And yet the mind clings. It replays the scene. It reopens the wound. It insists that unless we suffer enough, we will not be redeemed. But suffering is not the currency of healing. Presence is. The past cannot bind you unless you keep thinking it with the same thoughts, unless you keep speaking it with the same pain, unless you keep living it as though it were still now. But it is not now. Now is unscripted. Now is untainted. Now is the open sky. And the thoughts you choose now, they are your wings. The soul does not crave repetition. It craves release. The soul aches not to rewrite the past, but to outgrow it, to become so fully anchored in truth that the old wounds no longer define the shape of your being. But to do this, you must be willing to see the past not as your identity, but as your initiation. Not as a life sentence, but as a sacred doorway through which you pass, bruised but not broken, in order to become who you now have the power to be. When you look upon your past with the eyes of ego, you see betrayal, failure, and justice. But when you look with the eyes of the soul, you see invitations, mirrors, messages. Teachers disguised as hardship. This shift in vision is not denial. It is transcendence. It is choosing to believe that life is not happening against you, but through you, and always, always for your awakening. And when you see this, truly see this, you stop clinging to the pain as proof that it mattered. You realize that your freedom is not in the memory, but in your willingness to release the meaning that made you small. You stop asking, why did it happen? And start asking, what thought am I still carrying from it that is no longer true? Because the wound is not just what occurred, it is the belief that arose from it. The belief that you are unworthy, that you are unsafe, that you are damaged, that love is conditional, that joy must be earned. But none of these thoughts are you. They are echoes. And you are not an echo. You are the stillness before the sound. You are not the grief. You are the space that held it. You are not the sorrow. You are the strength that carried it. And now, you can set it down. Not because the past didn't matter, but because it no longer needs to dictate who you are. You can honor what happened without inhabiting it. You can bless the journey without dragging its weight through every doorway of your life. You can, in this holy moment, say, this story ends with me. And in saying it, you are not rejecting your past, you are redeeming it. You are rewriting the agreement, not with more pain, but with more truth. You are saying to the wounded child within, you are safe now. You are whispering to the forgotten self, you are always worthy. You are reminding the deepest part of your being that freedom is not found in the next chapter, it is found in letting go of the page you've been rereading for years. The soul doesn't want to forget the past, it wants to free it. It wants to cleanse it in the river of presence, to bathe it in the light of understanding, to carry forward only what serves love, and to release the rest like smoke rising from a sacred fire. This is the fire you now tend, the fire of awareness, the fire of new thought, the fire of conscious liberation. And as it burns away the remnants of false belief, what remains is not emptiness, it is spaciousness. The space to be new, to begin again. To speak your name not as a repetition of history, but as a declaration of truth. You are not here to be a prisoner of memory. You are here to be the living proof that love outlives pain, that truth outshines story, that the soul can rise from anything, not with bitterness, but with grace. And so the thoughts you think now, these are your resurrection. Each one a small act of freedom, each one a step into light. And the light is you. You have not come this far to remain in the waiting room of your own awakening. You have not endured all you've endured just to survive a little more elegantly. You are not here to rehearse your wounds, nor to perfect the armor you learn to wear. You are here to remember, to awaken, to embody the truth that has never left you, only waited patiently beneath the noise. There is a still place within you that has never been broken, not by betrayal, not by loss, not even by the thoughts you once mistook for truth. That place, that sacred center, is untouched by time, unmarred by story, and invincibly whole. And now you are beginning to live from it. With every breath, you are dissolving the veil. With every new thought chosen in love, you are weaving the threads of a new reality, not out there, but in here. And as the inner shifts, so too must the outer. For the world can only reflect the frequency you hold. And when your frequency becomes truth, peace, presence, when your thoughts are soaked in remembrance, not fear, then even chaos bows to your calm. Even storms soften at your stillness. Because your being itself becomes a sanctuary, a temple not built of stone but of soul. And this is not theory. This is not philosophy etched in distant books. This is a lived fire, a radiant knowing, a light that grows from within and spills over not in flashes but in presence, in silence, in being. There is no need to shout when you are truth. There is no need to prove when you are peace. There is no need to chase when you are aligned. This is what liberation feels like. Not the absence of challenge, but the absence of resistance to it. Not the removal of pain, but the removal of identity with it. Not the fixing of life, but the flowing with it. Like a river that has finally stopped trying to reverse itself and now cascades freely toward the sea, you are remembering that surrender is not the end of your strength, it is the beginning of your power. And that power is soft, it is subtle, it is sacred. It is the power to forgive when your thoughts demand vengeance. It is the power to bless when your story would justify bitterness. It is the power to hold space for beauty even in the ruins. Because the soul does not react, it responds. And its response is always love. Not sentimental love, not conditional love, but the unshakable, all-seeing, all-allowing love that recognizes itself in all things. And you are that love. Not a carrier of it, not a channel of it. You are it. And when you think from this place, not the mind of man, but the mind of spirit, you are no longer living your life. You are letting life live through you. You are the ocean returning to itself. You are the sun remembering it was never lost behind the clouds. You are the soul standing in the open field of now, arms outstretched, heart unveiled, no longer fearing the wind, but becoming it. And so I tell you now, not as a whisper, but as a knowing, you are ready. Ready to let go of the thought that you are not yet enough. Ready to release the idea that peace must be earned. Ready to lay down the belief that love is something you must chase. rather than something you can never be apart from. You are ready to live as the light, not because everything is perfect, but because you've remembered that perfection was never the point presence was. This is the crescendo the soul has been calling you toward, not an explosion, but an expansion, not an arrival, but a homecoming. And you have arrived. You are no longer becoming. You are no longer seeking. You are being fully, freely, finally. And in that being is everything. You are here, not in the abstract sense, not as an idea to be debated or a mantra to be recited, but truly, wholly, eternally, here, in this breath, in this presence, in this moment that asks nothing of you but your being. There is no more need to grasp, no more need to strive, no more need to prove. You have walked through the fire of forgetting and emerged as light itself, not in spite of what you've lived through, but because of it. Your wounds have become windows. Your sorrow has softened into sight. And your once scattered thoughts have gathered, quieted, and turned like birds toward the sun of truth. You now know not with the mind, but with the marrow that life has never been against you. It has been sculpting you, carving away what you never were until only what is eternal remained. And what remains is love, not the kind that fluctuates, not the kind that clings, not the kind that waits for permission, but the love that simply is. The love that breathes your lungs, beats your heart, and flows through your thoughts when they are no longer tangled in fear. The love that was there before the story. The love that will be there long after the story ends. It speaks now, not in thunder, but in stillness. You are the answer to your own prayer. You are the presence you have been aching to feel. You are not separate from the divine. You are its living extension. And now you no longer need to search for signs, because your life becomes the sign. Your breath, the proof. Your peace, the echo of a mind aligned with truth. And what is this truth? It is this: nothing outside you can define your worth. It is this: your past is not your prison. It is this: every time you choose a thought rooted in love, you reclaim your power from centuries of fear. You are not here to repeat. You are here to remember. You are not here to fit in. You are here to radiate. You are not here to gather. You are here to give, to glow, to bless. And this blessing is not loud. It does not need applause. It needs only your yes. Yes to the moment. Yes to the light. Yes to the truth that says, even now, you are free. So go, not in haste, but in reverence. Let your walk be prayer. Let your words be offerings. Let your silence be sacred. And when the world forgets its light, as it sometimes will, let your presence be the reminder, not by teaching, not by preaching, but by being, by thinking from truth, seeing with clarity, and loving without condition. Let your thoughts be extensions of the divine. Let your life be the reflection of one who has remembered the truth. To change your thoughts is to change your life. And to live from this truth is to awaken the world. You are not becoming, you have arrived. You are not learning the way, you are the way. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean remembering itself as a drop. So rest, beautiful soul, not in stillness alone, but in the radiance of your own becoming. And may that radiance shine so quietly, so purely, that even those who've forgotten begin to remember simply by being near you. This is your return. This is your truth. This is your life. Now live it not in fear, but in the full, sacred knowing that you already are all that you seek. And so it is.